It's Marvel Tokon, baby! Woo-hoo! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. We got Doom, we got Magneto, we got Carnage, we got Green Goblin, all on the villains team, the Knights of Doom. I love it. Not wasting any time. I don't care if this is scripted, non-scripted, or how long this video takes. There's a lot to talk about in this trailer, so let's just get started. Okay, this is the part of the video where my Marvel knowledge is a little bit limited because we see that a bunch of people are cheering on the champion in a stadium in another planet. But the champion in the universe, from what I found out from the Marvel Comics, doesn't exactly have like one set location where he lives. So we can assume that this is either a planet based on when he lives in the Ancrindo Nebula or somewhere that's close enough where it's possible for the others of the universe to travel from there to Earth in a short amount of time. So here's the question that anyone who is either a Marvel buff that knows way more than me or isn't a Marvel buff and somehow knows less than a 50 casual like me would know. Who the heck are the 5 elders we see before we get to the champion? Well, between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m, this is where I'm probably figuring that out. But for now, I can definitely say out of the first 2 that we see, the woman is Karina Korvac or Karina Tivan, Karina Tivan, the daughter of the Collector, who's considered an Elder of the Universe. Apparently, she's in the MCU and Guardians of the Galaxy, where she's pink. Now, in the comics, she is light-skinned, but what tipped me off was that when I noticed the necklace in your comic design, it's also a blue one she wears above a dress with blue highlights, similar in the comics. So she might as well be Karina. So it looks like they combined her comic self and her Marvel Cinematic Universe self. And I think this is a smart choice for people who are somewhat familiar with her cinematic universe self in the movies, but may have forgot she existed, or people who read the comics and sees a little bit of the design, which is a good way for combined casuals and diehards to be appreciative. With the person in red, there is a strong idea that it's the Collector. Anytime I've seen the Collector in any sort of adaptation, from either the show I watched in Ultimate Spider-Man 2012 to him in the MCU, he either has had some shade of red in his design, looks somewhat like an old man, or his eyes either look old or like a domino mask, like he's wearing something. So I'm 75% confident in this one, but people not being sure because it could be a redesign. But to be fair, there's also 21 other elders of the universe, although not all of them are men. So let me know if you think I'm right there. That's Collector. Okay, for the next 3, I'm pretty confident in 2 out of the 3, and that just basically rolls down to the fact that I'm aware that there's less women, so I know exactly which woman it could be. The lady on the blue is definitely Profiteer. She's a long-hidden elder of the universe and sister of Ndwi Gas, whose sole ambition is the acquisition of wealth. Well, hence the name Profiteer. And from what I could find in both the comics and in this redesign, her skin is blue or at least blue adjacent, so there's really not much to say there. Moving on to the next person I'm confident in. In the yellow, we have Voyager / Vani Gas, daughter of the Grandmaster, who is considered an Elder of the Universe. And she does wear the yellow suit and has blue skin like in the comics from what I could find, so that seems to add up. As for Orange, okay, I have seen people claim that it is the Grandmaster, which would make sense because he's next to Voyager, who is his daughter, looking up the Elders of the Universe, and I thought this could have been Traitor because he's the only one that has some sort of hint of orange in his outfit. But considering that even the promoter is someone who's been new since 2016 and who gets chosen as representation for the Elders in adaptations and non-comic material, tends to switch depending on who's writing them, so I'm going to likely say it's Grandmaster with a new design, but let me know if you think it could be anyone else, especially if you read the comics. Speaking of Zarina, I am very curious to see what the fan art for her is going to look like because her personality is just dynamic charisma, dancing around like a smooth criminal, although I guess in her case, because she spaced the smooth harbinger. Also, if you're curious about what pugilistic means, it's just another word for boxing. Who says you can't learn anything from video games? Okay, well, next she's introducing the champion, Trico Slatterus. Not Splatterus, Slatterus. Now, a bunch of redesigns for this game have been divisive / controversial with people either liking or disliking it depending on the character. For a game where Marvel gave Arc System the right to just be as anime inspired as they wanted, I think it's a good redesign. It keeps the blue skin and the red hair, and he does look like a final boss with a big ego. For my comic book audience that are going to find this video, do you think this is an accurate depiction of him, since I do know he wears gold in some comic panels? And he did challenge most of the heavy hitters on Earth to a fight. So let me know if you guys liked the redesign or do you think it fits the type of personality this character is. So, in the comics, the Knights of Doom are armored mercenaries in the service of Dr. Doom under the command of the Silver Surfer. Meanwhile, Dr. Doom has robot guards known as the Doom Knights, who had attacked the X-Men at one point. So I like the fact that developers took a name that is somewhat anonymous with Doom and just made him the entire leader of it. Because every personality on this team is anything but a loyal drone. So, we already knew that Doom was going to be in the game, but he's voiced by Sung-Won Cho. Oh, wait, that's Pro ZD. I haven't watched all his content in the past, but from what I've seen, apparently some of the worst people on the internet want me to hate him. But for what evidence I could find, I have no reason to when said people have done, said, and enacted in worse things. So it's cool that he's there, and he really sells Doom's ego. I would like to know if that's his natural voice or if he's also combining it with a filter. But the back and forth ranging from his trash talking of Champion to him roasting Tony is handled really well. Glad unlike the last Marvel fighting game, the voice direction wasn't wasting good talent. And who else is there to challenge Iron Man than a mutant with the powers hurling a freaking truck at the armored adventure, but Magneto himself, voiced by Johnny Test, James Arnold Taylor. Well, this actually adds up quite a bit. He's played Magneto in Marvel Avengers Battle for Earth, Marvel Heroes, Marvel Powers United VR, and Marvel Rivals. So I'm glad to see him back in a console Marvel fighting game after a while. And speaking of which, yeah, Magneto, 15 years since you've been in a console fighting game in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Good to have you back. Forgot the curly mustache. Speaking of mutants, yeah, he looks like he's going to be the villain counterpart to the X-Men, agreeing to work with Doom in exchange for a promise, and argues with Storm about whether or not this violence will solve anything, with him claiming that the mutant kind shall rise as a result of his actions, where we can clearly see him using his ultimate skill, trapping her and any opponent caught into a series of magnets or metal before rising up into the air, trapping them into a bunch of more metal debris before making them explode, blasting them away. Sounds about a Magneto ultimate in a fighting game to me. And speaking of characters who are way long overdue for a fighting game that's not just a cameo in Spider-Man's level 3 hyper combo in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, even though it was cool that they used that for him, Green Goblin is finally in a 2/2.5D fighting game after everyone has either wanted him in or Octopus. And the next person we'll talk about, and Green Goblin is voiced by Steve Blum. Now, as much as I do like most of the Spider-Man shows in Spectacular, whose toxic side of its fan base does have a nasty group of fans who just hate on other Spider-Man shows for not being spectacular. But at the same time, it is cool to see that Josh and Steve are reuniting in another Spider-Man related property to play some of their more iconic roles. So it's a really cool reunion for those two in that sense. And yeah, it looks like he's going to be on the glider. Not for all of his attacks, but definitely for some of them. And not only do we see that he's able to at least activate when he's able to use it, but he's also able to throw pumpkin bombs. Also, is that a background of Zarina and the Avengers and the Fantastic Four Tower? Neat. Hold the Fantastic Four's playable in some regard. And yes, we do have a new stage, New York at night, which kind of looks different compared to the morning since there's a few more details that make it a bit more distinct. But yeah, Goblin can use and shred the glider as an attack, and he blows Peter away, which is funny. He does talk about a grudge, so I wonder if in this timeline, Green Goblin also killed Gwen Stacy, or do they have beef because of other reasons? I mean, in almost every Spider-Man animated show, they've always given Peter a reason to have issues with Norman that wasn't just involving killing Gwen, so I'm curious to see what the motivation between them is going to be like. And look, I get it, people wanted Venom, but we finally got Carnage in an actual fighting game that's not just a skin, and look at him, he is so majestic. And yeah, did you see the fact they know how visceral this guy is as a fighter so much that they literally have his tagline cracked in two? That is so good attention to detail, with mad respect. Not to mention, he's played by Kellen Goff. Have you seen the villain roles this man has been able to play? Freaking Diavolo and Overhaul in dubs. Yeah, this was a perfect choice. He looks so good, arguing with his teammates about whether or not he's going to kill Spider-Man. That transition is so clean. Look at the smear frames on his attacks. You know that's going to have a lot of weight and impact towards every single strike. Look at the range on that attack. That is ridiculous. He even gets a new super skill in Bloodbath where he just rips around his tentacles, smashing around anything in sight. And look at that ultimate. I'm gonna go overboard with like the blood, but the effects really saw how this man is pure carnage, and I love it. So the Knights of Doom are fully assembled. And yeah, they're still arguing about who gets to kill Spider-Man. At least Green Goblin and Carnage are. And it's cool producing their combos. But then we get Doom activating their assemble. All the villains are lined up, so we can see what their assembles look like. Doom basically prepares a giant purple beam. Magneto actually summons a Sentinel, which is always cool watching a villain take something that they were oppressed by and then using it as a weapon against their adversaries. And the effects are pretty good. It looks like he's going to rain down a meteor. Or at least let the Sentinel rain down on the opponent like a meteor. Now, with Green Goblin's assemble, I'm not sure if he sends the glider into the opponent and then they blow up, or he sends a glider at the opponent and then it blows up. But let me know which one you guys think it is. And oh my god, Carnage is assembled. That dude basically just looks like he made a symbiote monster of blood and is about to rain down on poor Peter Parker. Like, damn, that looks so vicious and so beautiful. And now with 16 of the 20 fighters revealed, we get a full increased expanded version of the box art with more characters on the roster than before. So the box art has Miss Marvel, Doctor Doom, Ghost Rider, Storm, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Iron Man, Captain America, Promoter, and Collector. Not a bad section of characters, but if you were to sell someone in this game, if you could pick 8 characters that should be on the box art, who would you pick? Let me know in the comments, because I want to see if that box art would actually convince someone who hasn't even heard about this game to pick it up. Next is the Ultimate Edition and pre-orders, which, yeah, the Ultimate Edition looks pretty cool. Let me know which character costumes you're looking forward to. Ooh, we're getting year 1. I wonder what 4 characters are going to be there. Might be some of the elders, but we'll have to wait and see. And we have one team left to assemble, Ghost Rider's team. And this time, they're not even giving us a hint. They're just saying, hey, there's the flames with the letter G, and you get to predict whatever you guys want. Now, I guess the question is, did this trailer was hinting at the Ghost Rider team or the Captain America team? You could argue Captain America because, well, we had the red, white, and blue stars, the red circle that could have hinted towards Iron Man. Shuri, okay, well, Shuri and Hulk are kind of a reach because I don't think either one are associated with ducks. Although you could use Hulk as Rage as Gamma regarding the Marshmallow, but that's a little bit of a stretch. And Shuri is a leader, which you could relate the wand to, but that's also a bit of a stretch. But the Candle Fire, you could also argue, is related to Ghost Rider. So you never know, but I could see people arguing, which one do you think these symbols were meant to represent? Captain America's team or Ghost Rider's team? And to be fair, the last trailer that was colored in green actually did hint at all of this. I mean, first of all, it was colored in green, so we knew Doom's team had to be next. And Green Goblin also hates Spider-Man, so his face being scratched out definitely was a key giveaway. Plus, Spider-Man has met Doom in the comics in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, Issue 5, where he fought Spidey after fighting the Fantastic Four at one point. But we also had the number 361, and Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, Issue 361, had Carnage debut fighting Spider-Man for the first time. So we already hint about 3 out of the 4 characters already. And hey, if you do some digging, Magneto has fought Spider-Man at some point, so we have an entire group of supervillains who have fought Spider-Man, which makes sense. Spider-Man is Mr. Marvel himself. He's fought as many villains as he has worked with heroes, so it adds up. Besides, there's a silver lining to all of this. I'm not sure this was in the trailers, but people saw images of Bullseye and cameos of She-Hulk in the game too, so glad they're including other characters. Hopefully we get to talk to them in the story mode or some sort of arcade or single-player content. Okay, so some things that I have seen some people point out. A, we didn't get another female character on this list because people were pointing out that for now it looked like the games was pretty even in terms of female and male representation. I'm not too mad about that. Marvel has always kind of skewed more male. But it's not as bad as Infinite only going like 4 out of 30. Like, right now, 6 out of 16 is nothing to scoff at. Now, I also know that there are some people who are hoping that there was going to be a villain representing every group, with Carnage representing Spider-Man, Magneto representing the X-Men, and Doom probably for the Avengers, or the Fantastic Four, but the Fantastic Four is not in the game, sadly. But yeah, Green Goblin and Carnage, I know some people are upset because they picked 2 Spider-Man villains, and I know personally I wanted Loki, but again, People have been begging for Carnage in a fighting game. People have been begging for Green Goblin to be in a fighting game. People literally refused to buy Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because Magneto wasn't playable. This is probably the best possible outcome in terms of getting two older veteran characters who have been in a Marvel fighting game before in Magneto and Doom to appease a lot of the older fans of Marvel fighting games who want to see them and will probably be attracted to try to play them even if their gameplay styles are slightly different from how they were in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. And we have two new people in Carnage and Green Goblin who have been massive fan favorites and requested to be in a Marvel fighting game for at least over a decade, maybe even two when you think about it. So I'm not mad at the choices, even though I can understand why some people are, but I think some people can also understand why people are excited about these choices like myself. The only real question I have now is who the heck is going to be on Ghost Rider's team? Because he could be Midnight Suns adjacent, but the possibilities are really endless, and I'm very curious to see what the final roster is going to look like. But let me know, who do you think is going to be on Ghost Rider's team? Let me know what you think about the Knights of Doom in general, whether or not you like the team or the characters being picked. Let me know what your final teams are going to be based on what we have so far. And let me know if you just like the trailer and how everything was put together, because I feel like people don't talk about that. Presentation and getting people excited, while not always a determining factor, is something good trailers should do. So let me know if they succeeded in that regard. And let me know if you're still going to buy Marvel Tokon, or if you can't get, or if you don't have a PlayStation, find some ways to play, or even might be interested in the game itself. But thank you for watching. I hope you guys can tell what parts were scripted and weren't scripted. And like, share, comment, and subscribe, because I did talk about some things that some people are either going to be confused about or might not understand. So if you did, let me know if you learned something new. And again, thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because telling you all to do that actually works. And I'd like to hear from you all. So, I guess that's it for me. BIP Bizarre Interest Productions, signing off.